So once you decide to go down that route, so you said that Appsmith has taken an open core approach to the business model around this. Um, and I think what's interesting with that is that I think a lot of the other, or not all, but a lot of open core businesses that we've talked to, a lot of those core features end up largely getting offered inside of like the cloud service, the managed version, because then it's much easier to federate access to it. If I'm understanding you correctly, with Appsmith, the managed version is sometimes a lot harder of a sell because it's got to talk to the prod database, and so it's much more amenable to being self-hosted. So how do you think about open core, federating access to certain kinds of custom features when the whole thing is being self-hosted?
Yeah. So a couple of things here. One is that inside our open core edition, so one is we have to have like a really good separation of features and a good understanding of how are we actually planning to build this entire system, right? And that kind of that actually, I think GitLab gave us a really good mental model there, where we try to figure out what kind of features do developers really care about versus what kind of features do managers and CXOs really care about, right? And as we kind of went down that path, we realized that these features were largely non-overlapping. And in the cases where they were overlapping, we were able to kind of figure out a clear line or demarcation between them. And because of that, the way we built it is that there's this great core of features that actually allow you to build any kind of application you'd like. So if you're a developer, you have an application in your in mind, you'll really easily be able to build that app with Appsmith, get it to life very, very quickly, right? And on top of this entire core are these other tertiary features that kind of help organizations extract value from the core a lot better, right? And those features are things like having a lot more granular access control, so that you can safely share it with a really large organization base, depending on different access criteria, right? That's super complex and not really something a developer at this point in time needs to care about. Or things like having custom branding so that the applications look and feel exactly like what every other application in your org looks like, so that you don't have to explain to everyone that, oh, hey, we're using this platform and this internal tool is safe to use inside this really large organization, right? So as we kind of discovered that separation, right, we realized that it was very clear the type of features that our actual buyers, who are not our users are developers, and our buyers are typically managers and CXOs. We kind of figured out what features they would really need and would click for them, and we kind of built those as a layer around this open core. And we do actually have a managed hosting platform today, in fact, but we don't really charge for it because most users don't really care too much about the managed hosting bit of it. We will plan to charge for it in the future, but we haven't focused too much on it because we've just seen that managers and CXOs really typically care about the data security, so they are more than happy to actually self-host it. And what they really care about is not the fact that we are managing it and guaranteeing uptime. What they really care about are these additional features that help them unlock more and more value from the platform. They realize that, hey, it's really easy to build one app, two apps, but how do we get 30, 40, 50 apps out there, and how can we spread those applications really, really quickly inside our organization so that the org can move faster? And that's what the business edition actually allows you to unlock.
Got it.
Real quick. So when you're talking about those features that are part of the open core and making those decisions, you said that it's really driven based on what the users or the buyers could potentially want. How do you figure that out? What have you found as an effective strategy to kind of suss out or pull the information out of the user base? Do you have you do regular questions with them, just conversations, or surveys, telemetry baked into the software? What sort of things are helping drive those decisions on what should be in the open core and what shouldn't?
Yeah, I think one, it really begins with some kind of belief, right? Because if you're just kind of trying to measure things and test the waters, you'll typically end up with a lot of random data, is my firm belief. And especially in the open source space, telemetry it's really hard to get. You only get a very small sliver of your actual user base sharing a lot of data with you. And of course, that's why we have Scarf. So that's incredible. I think it really begins with some kind of hypothesis and belief. And, for us, this was the belief that, developers don't have a lot of purchasing power, managers do. And what we did was we actually began to work with a couple of early companies that, adopted us pretty early on. We got them onto our Slack channel. We worked very closely with them. And as we kind of, saw the platform improve, and we saw the adoption of the platform in these companies improve, we naturally saw them reaching out to us. Instead of us reaching out to them, they would begin reaching out to us, and they would say, hey, we'd like priority support for these type of things, or hey, we'd like a feature to kind of scale this inside the org where we need more tighter access controls and things like that. And the minute we knew that the conversation was coming from more of a manager or from someone slightly higher up, we knew that this is something that we could potentially, create real value from. But whenever we heard directly from developers that, this is impeding my app building experience, I'm just not able to build my first application, or it's slow, or, I really need this one particular feature to make my app look great, we typically knew that came from a place of creation and not really from adoption. And that was kind of what we used to separate these two.